We present Anything Legal by Wally K. Daly, starring Donald Hewlett and Michael Knowles, with special guests Madeline Smith, Stephen Greif, Elizabeth Proud and Francis Jeter.
Hey-ho, hey-ho, it's off to work we go. We work all day and get no pay, hey-ho. Hey-ho, hey-ho-ho, no, no. Better try another one. Not the most cheery of tunes to sing whilst one's waiting for the phone to ring. I said it's rather good. Almost a poem. Sing, ring. Ah, delicious. Nothing like the first sip of coffee in the morning to get one going. I wonder how Charles is making out delivering the ambassador's child to school. Not the most onerous of jobs, of course. Collect one brat from embassy every morning, walk it protectively to the prep school, then collect it at the end of the day and deliver it safe back home again. Money for old Sizel, as they say. Ah, it'll be him now. Must have forgotten his key. Hey-ho, hey-ho, it's to the door we go. Well, Charles, how did it go? Good Lord.
You must help me.
But of course, come in, come in. Would you take a seat?
Oh, you're too kind.
Now, how can I be of service, madam? A tissue, perhaps?
No, I need more than just a tissue.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I'm afraid I haven't got a proper hanky.
Will you do something legal for me?
I beg your pardon?
Your advertisement in the paper says anything legal, so would you do something legal for me?
Oh, that, the advert. But of course. Yes, we do anything legal as it happens.
We?
Well, my partner and I, Charles. He's off at the moment delivering an important package from an embassy to a seat of research and learning.
Oh, do you not do detective work then?
Detective work?
Yes, you know, following people for money.
Well, if there's money involved, naturally we would carefully consider any proposition. How much money were you thinking of exactly for whatever detective services you may be requiring?
£100 a day, plus expenses.
Here's looking at you, Blue Eyes. You've just bought yourself a gym shoe.
A gym shoe?
Sorry, silly me. I mean gumshoe, don't I? You know. A private dick.
A dick?
Yes, or an eye, whichever you prefer. But private anyway. And as soon as my partner gets back from his simple little assignment, which I'm sure will be shortly, we can be underway.
Come on, young man, you must go in.
I won't. I hate school.
If you don't go to school, how are you going to learn anything?
I don't want to learn anything. Learning's boring, useless and boring.
But if you don't learn anything, how are you going to get a job when you grow up?
I've already got a job. I'm going to be president of our country. Daddy's already arranged it.
Oh. Well, I suppose you do have a point then. Not much knowledge required to be a president, apart from dubbing people and milking the economy, that is. Surely there must be something about school you like.
Yes, playtime and going home. Oh, yes, and long holidays.
But someone else brought you to school before me, didn't they? This isn't first day of term.
I never went inside.
How on earth did you manage that?
A different servant brought me every day, and I told them that if they made me go inside, when I'm president, I'll have their heads chopped off.
Well, I suppose that does give one pause. So, what on earth did they do with you every day?
They took me to parks and zoos and Harrods, and they called me Your Excellency a lot.
So why have anything legal been given this job?
No servants left. Daddy found out about my truancy and sent them all home.
For a reprimand?
No, to have their heads chopped off.
Well, as an answer to the common cold, it's a bit extreme. But probably preferable to trying to get you to school. Still, we've got to get you inside somehow. What would appeal to you in the way of encouragement to get you to go inside quietly?
A bribe.
A bribe?
Yes. Money.
I beg your pardon?
10% of your fee for bringing me here and taking me home, payable in cash every Friday.
That's outrageous.
No, it's not. If you don't get me to school today, you're out of this job tomorrow, and you get no money. And you certainly won't get me in unless you pay me 10% of the fee to go in quietly.
Well, I'll be dashed.
Oh, don't be upset. It's good practice for me.
Practice?
Yes. If I get deposed as president, I'm going to set up as a theatrical agent.
Oh, well, put that way, 10% sounds almost reasonable. Morning, George.
Morning, Charles. Well, how'd you get on?
Damn Charles a monster.
Probably explains why no one from the embassy likes to take him.
There's no one from the embassy left to take him, George. He's had all their blinking heads chopped off.
I see. How does it taste?
Yes.
Someone give him a toy guillotine for Christmas?
Don't be facetious, George. No laughing matter. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
I say, George, do you see what I see?
What do you see, Charles?
There's a pretty young woman, all dressed in funereal black, sitting quite quietly crying in the corner.
It's our next case.
Next case?
Or to be exact, our first case in this case.
What are you talking about?
As private detectives, Charles.
Oh, we can't do that. I've seen all the Humphrey Bogart films. It can be very dangerous.
£100 a day, plus expenses.
Well, perhaps the films do exaggerate somewhat. What's the story?
Well, apparently this lady in the corner is fabulously wealthy in her own right.
Ah.
And recently fell for this character who swept her off her feet at one fell swoop.
That sort you usually do.
They married in a trice and have honeymooned ever since. But recently, he has started leaving the house at the crack of dawn and not returning until dark, which she finds fairly fishy.
There's nothing fishy about that.
You don't think so?
No, I do the same sort of thing myself. It's called going to work.
Anyway, he's penniless, but because of her wealth, has no need to work.
Ah. How long has this idyllic honeymoon of theirs lasted now?
Just over a year and a half.
Well, there's your answer then.
Really?
Well, the poor blighter's probably just popping off to rest up somewhere.
No, you see, as I was saying, they did stay for a month in Transylvania.
Transylvania?
Frankenstein, Dracula, you know, that lot. And she fears he may secretly have become a vampire and be afraid of sunlight, as they are.
You mean hiding up in a coffin during the daylight hours so he doesn't blister?
That's the stuff.
That's rather frightening. They attack young maidens, don't they?
They're the ones.
Did you check her neck?
First thing I thought of.
And?
Clean as a whistle.
Oh, thank goodness for that. You and I start going home with puncture marks on our throats. Marjorie and Hilary will be asking questions in no time at all.
True. So, what do you think? Shall we take it on?
100 a day plus expenses.
Awful lot of money to turn down per day.
Yes. It's going to be very heavy on expenses as well. What with wooden mallets and stakes and silver bullets. Not to mention solid gold crosses to make him go...
What do you mean?
You know, when you put a cross on their forehead for branding. Bring them back to God.
Oh, that.
Yes. Plus the fact you just wouldn't believe the price of garlic these days.
Garlic? Is that really necessary?
Essential. Making a necklace to keep them off your throat.
Hilary won't be too happy if I go home smelling of garlic, Charles.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now, we best have a chat and get the measure of the lady.
Check the colour of her cash and what have you.
Don't be so coarse, George. We're not tradesmen. There's a suffering soul on show here, needing to be succoured and soothed.
Sorry, you're right. Unforgivably mercenary of me.
Quite. We'll get the cash later on when she's leaving.
Fair enough.
Good morning, madam. I gather you have a little problem you wish to place in the hands of my partner and myself.
And I don't see or hear anything of him from that moment till he gets back home after dark.
I see. And have you actually had a little chat with him about what he gets up to when he's not with you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. He'd think I didn't trust him.
But surely you don't, do you? Otherwise you wouldn't be here hiring us to hunt him down now, would you?
Oh.
For goodness sake, George. Keep that tongue of yours under control. Took long enough getting her to stop in the first place.
Sorry, Charles.
I should hope you are. She goes on crying at this rate. She's going to shrink our fitted carpet to the size of the average fireside rug. There. My partner didn't mean to say such an awful thing.
Oh, no. Slip of the tongue.
Oh, good. I'd hate anyone to think that I don't trust him. It's just that, you see, I do worry so much about my little Willie.
I beg your pardon?
My husband, William. My pet name for him is Little Willie.
Oh, I see, Little Willie. Yes, well, while we're on the subject of height, you could perhaps give us a brief description. He's little, you say?
6 foot 6 inches.
Good Lord. That's very big for little.
Oh, no. His height isn't the reason I call him Little Willie.
Isn't it?
No.
Oh. Right, well, we'd best get on.
As I said, just my pet name for him.
But, of course. Any other distinguishing features apart from being a small giant?
He is a very rotund man.
Portly?
Plump?
Fat.
Right. Fat it is. Tall and fat.
He has a very large, bushy black beard.
Large, bushy black beard, tall and fat. Make a note, George.
Very well, Charles.
His eyebrows are very thick, and they join in the middle over his nose.
Eyebrows thick in the middle over the join on his nose.
Which is somewhat hooked.
Right, so there we have it. A very tall, very fat, bushy-bearded, thick-eyebrowed, hook-nosed husband. Yes.
You're quite sure you want us to find this man for you?
Oh, yes, I love him dearly.
Right. Find him we shall, madam. You can be sure of that. Anything legal has never let anyone down on a case yet.
Absolutely not. Though this is, of course, our very first case.
Oh, George, for heaven's sake.
Sorry.
You will safely leave this with us, madam, and we will be in touch shortly with all the information you require.
You're too kind.
George, open the door, would you?
But of course.
You will do your best.
Depend on us, madam.
Well, goodbye then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, what do you think, Charles?
It's a sad case.
Yes. Where do we start, do you think?
Well, hard to know exactly, but... Oh,
yes?
We start by running after her. We've forgotten to get her name, address and telephone number.
Good Lord, so we did. Come on, Charles.
Funny way to start the day. Crouching in somebody's back garden at the crack of dawn, waiting for the recalcitrant husband to make a bolt for it. Ah, somebody moving at the upstairs window. Could be him. No. Good Lord, it's her. Totally in the... Absolutely. Startlingly so. I'd better look away. Yes, that's the answer. After all, I am a gentleman. No, I can't look away. I may miss him coming out. I try not to look at the window. Bit difficult, though. The light sort of pulls one's eyes to it. Good Lord. She's a well-built girl. Oh, the back door's opening. And there we have him. Head furtively poking out, peeping from left to right. And there he lumbers. No mistaking that face. The chase is underway.
Right, here we are. In you go, young man. I look forward to seeing you this evening.
Dinner money.
Sorry?
You haven't given me my dinner money. £5 for school dinners.
£5 for dinner? What do you have? Champagne and quail's eggs?
It's a private school, remember, not subsidised state stuff.
Why don't your parents give it to you?
Afraid I might spend it on the way here. They give it to you at the end of the week, apparently.
Well, Charles didn't mention a word about this. But I suppose I'd better give it to you, as you do have to eat. There we are.
I should think so, too. See you tonight.
What an unsavoury child.
Hello, George.
Hello, Charles.
How'd you go?
The delivery?
Yes.
Fine. Just one thing. He asked me for a fiver for his lunch. You didn't tell me anything about a fiver.
Oh, he's just trying it on. Practicing extortion for when he's president. Extricating money is a necessary skill, apparently. Still, no harm in it, as long as you don't give him the money.
Ah.
Ah?
He's very good at it, isn't he?
It?
Extricating money.
Oh, yes, make a fine president. So, you gave him the money.
Afraid so.
Never mind. We'll deduct it from his 10% of the weekend.
Good thinking, Charles. Wait a minute. What on earth are you doing here? You're supposed to be little Willie watching. Surely you haven't lost him, Charles.
No, I'm still on Willie Watch, as it happens. Look over there.
Good Lord. Is that him?
Yes. Rather impressive, don't you think?
Absolutely. But what an amazing coincidence. He seems to be watching this school.
Yes, and not only the school, George. He watched you collect the boy from the embassy as well, then followed you here. Decidedly fishy, if you ask me, George.
I'll say.
It's food for thought here, George. Food for thought.
But it doesn't make any sort of sense. If, as you say, he's regularly watching me, watching the boy, while you're watching him, what is the point of it all?
Well, there's no arguing with it. He is as regular as clockwork. He keeps his eye on the embassy first, till you collect Monster, then follows you both to school. Then he goes on to Blackwood Forest, till it's time to come back and watch you collect Monster and deliver him back to the embassy again. It's been 5 days now, and the pattern hasn't changed by an iota. Hence the fact I feel free to come and have tea. Till it's time to trail him from forest to school again, that is.
Well, it's this forest thing that I find totally bemusing.
Well, it seems pretty straightforward to me.
But you say he's building a hut.
No, he's not building a hut, George. It's already there. You really must start concentrating.
Sorry, I'm just not used to this detective stuff.
He's simply fortifying it, covering it with logs and what have you, putting stout locks on the door, things like that.
What on earth for?
The Lord knows. Perhaps he's doing it as a surprise treat for the wife. Weekend cottage sort of thing. Miles off the beaten track. Looking like he does, I suppose he'd want somewhere with a bit of privacy.
What did she say when you told her?
I haven't yet. I thought I'd give it a few days before bringing her up to date.
What, make the fee up to around £1,000 sort of thing?
Something like that. Anyway, looking on the bright side, she'll be pleased he's not a vampire. Saved her an awful lot in expenses for stakes and crosses and what have you.
Quite. Still, it's dashed odd. Gosh, look at the time. I'm going to be late collecting the monster if I don't dash.
OK, off you go. And if you bump into little Willie, pretend you haven't noticed.
I say, you there? Can I help in some way?
Who are you?
I'm Miss Folliott, games mistress.
I've come to collect my charge. Sorry, I'm late.
You're not a smoker by any chance?
No, I'm not.
Oh, pity that, because then you could stop and it would help your breathing enormously.
Yes, I suppose it would, but I don't.
Could always take it up for a while, perhaps, and then stop. No, better not. Might get to be a habit. Now, what can I do for you?
My charge from the embassy. Simon.
Simon? But he was collected ages ago. He said it was all right, as the agency was useless and sends different people every day.
What?
Well, I know it's somewhat rude to talk in such a fashion, but with Simon, you get used to it.
But what did the man look like?
Oh, that's easy. Most memorable. Make a first-class front row forward. Well over 6 foot tall and round with a very large...
Bushy beard?
Yes.
What about his eyebrows?
Eyebrows?
Yes. Did they meet in the middle over his hook of a nose?
Well, yes, they did, now you mention it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no? You mean something's wrong? The man shouldn't have been allowed to collect him?
No. Nothing could be further from my mind. In fact, everything's fine. Absolutely perfect, come to that. Yes, that's what it is. Absolutely perfect.
There you are, George. I say, you all right? You look a bit shaky.
He's got the boy.
What? Little Willie?
Yes, perfectly dreadful. Kidnapped him from school.
Why?
Lord knows. Perhaps one of his relatives had their head chopped off by the father. He's out to get his revenge.
Chop the boy's head off.
Something like that.
It wouldn't do any good. He'd still go on yapping. There's more to this than meets the eye.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Someone at the door. Could be news. Come.
Hello? Hope you don't mind me popping in unannounced like this. I'll be very brief. I was passing, and I thought I'd come and ask, not for details, but simply one question to put my heart at rest.
Feel free to fire away, madam.
Can you tell me, is it serious?
Serious?
What my husband is getting up to?
Oh, that. Oh, your husband. Well, I think we can safely say, without fear of contradiction, that, yes, I'm sure we could. Couldn't we, George?
No hesitation whatever. Plain as a pikestaff, and as clear as a bell. Not to mention, as the driven snow.
You mean...
You could almost say that, yes.
Yes, I think you could, most certainly could. Almost.
I knew it. How could I have doubted him? My poor little Willie. That I should secretly have distrusted him. I am not worthy to be his wife. Please, I want you to drop this case immediately.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Ah, yes. Well, there is one small matter.
Oh, yes, of course, the money. How foolish of me.
No, not the money.
I was going to give you this as an interim payment in any case, but please accept it now as full payment for your troubles. 5 days, £500. Plus £100 to cover your expenses. Is that all right?
Yes, delightful. But,
You see, there is another
Oh,
thing.
please, don't tell me any more. I prefer not to know.
But you see...
No, please. I shall leave now. You have both been too kind.
What on earth do we do now, Charles?
well, we go straight off and find the boy.
Good thinking. But hadn't we better tell them at the embassy that their son's been kidnapped first?
No. Let's save that up until we see if we can get him back ourselves. After all, we are private detectives, aren't we?
But of course. And if we can find him, it'll be a pleasant surprise for them.
Oh, we'll find him, all right, George. No doubt of that. Because we know where to look, don't we?
The forest hut?
Exactly. Dash quiet here, George. Suspiciously so, don't you think?
Yes. Apart from the rustling of the leaves in the trees overhead, the branches breaking underfoot, the scurrying of animals, and the constant birdsong, one could almost be in a quiet suburban side street.
That is arguably the most fatuous thing I've ever heard you say, George.
Really?
Really. In all our long years together, I've never heard you utter anything so unutterably silly as comparing a forest to a suburban side street.
I was only being agreeable. It was you who said it was quiet here.
I meant quiet as regards the hut.
Oh, the hut?
Yeah, look at it. Like an island in the clearing, all hushed. Door wide open. Not a single soul to be seen.
Oh, I see what you mean. It is somewhat hushed, isn't it? Shh. Pardon?
I said, shh. I thought I heard some fellow wailing.
Surely not.
Oh dear, what can I do?
There it is again. It's coming from the hut.
I think we'd better go and investigate, George.
Do you really?
Come on, George, don't hang about.
It's dashed dark in here.
Yes. I can only make out the one form.
Little Willie?
Yes. Seems to be sobbing somewhat.
He's probably eaten the boy up and got indigestion.
Well, certainly there's no sign of him. Better tackle little Willie about it.
Do you think it'll be safe?
We'll be brusque. That always helps.
Never fails.
Well, this is a fine to-do, I must say.
Oh no, it's the police. My misdeed has caught up with me. Just this once in my life I've broken the law, and now I'll pay the price.
I'm afraid so. So, where is the boy?
His hat and shoes aren't here, so he can't have eaten him. I mean, he'd spit those bits out, wouldn't he?
The boy? I took him straight home as soon as I saw the error of my ways.
Ah.
You see, I have a sorry tale to tell. Please listen. Pray silence while I tell it.
Oh, goody. I like a good story.
Oh, George, please.
Perhaps it would be as well if you sat down. It's a bit long.
Fine.
Yes, fine.
Mush up a bit, George. This log's somewhat cramped.
You see, All my life I wandered lonely, a sweet, gentle soul wrapped up in an ugly, gargantuan body, a face of evil, but a heart that was pure. But nobody could see this purity within, and never did I find one who would love me in spite of my grossness. Until a year and a half ago, a maiden so sweet, so delicate, so pure of heart as to make an angel blush, looked into my eyes and saw the true goodness behind the yuck. "You're nice," were the first words she ever said to me. We fell in love. We married. I had no work. The only thing I'd been offered was as a bouncer in a local dance hall. And I hate hurting people. But she was rich beyond imagining, so it didn't matter until some weeks ago we were passing a jeweler's shop and she saw a diamond ring that she thought was lovely. "What a pity we never got engaged," she said, with a careless laugh. And we walked on. You see, we never got engaged, but I vowed I would get her that ring. But how? I had no job, no money. I couldn't ask her for the money, could I? Even though she would have given it to make me happy. And then madness struck me down. I conceived a devilish plan. I would kidnap a child and demand the price of the ring for its return. I prepared this hut and picked a likely child from the embassy. Today I took him, but immediately realized the folly of what I'd done.
You wanted a percentage, I suppose.
Don't interrupt, George.
No, it wasn't only that. It was the realization I was doing wrong, that I would sully our love by getting the ring dishonestly. I took the boy straight back to the embassy and came here to cry my sorrow to the night. And now I'll never be able to afford the ring for my love. Never.
How much exactly was this engagement ring?
£600, including VAT.
Yes. I felt in my bones it would be about that.
Charles, you're not going to... Oh, you're not, are you? Dash it, I can see it in your eyes. You are.
What other choice do we have?
I suppose you're right, but golly.
Now, Willie, I'm here to tell you we are not from the police, but from the embassy.
What?
Yes. And your action today, ill-conceived though it was, foiled a real kidnap attempt.
Really?
George, keep out of this, please. In fact, it was your presence frightened the kidnappers away, and the ambassador, to show his gratitude, sent my partner and I to deliver this to you.
But it's full of money.
Yes. I think you'll find it to be £600 exactly.
Oh, how can I ever thank you both?
It's not us you have to thank. It's your...
George?
Somebody else.
Well, if you'll excuse me, my partner and I must be off about our business.
Anything legal?
That's the one.
You've been listening to Anything Legal by Wally K. Daly, starring Donald Hewlett as Charles and Michael Knowles as George. Also this week, Madeline Smith featured as Isabel, wife of Little Willie, Stephen Greif as Little Willie, Elizabeth Proud as Simon, and Frances Jeter as Miss Folliot. The theme music was written by Jim Parker, and the programme was produced by John Fawcett Wilson.